Good evening, guys. Happy Wednesday. Can't believe it's Wednesday already, halfway through the week, hump day. Although not good if you're on half-term holiday like I am. I hope you've all had a fantastic week. And I just wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. So I feel like I give you a lot of facts. And facts are great. Facts are fantastic. The problem is, though, I feel like a lot of us know what we should be doing. We all know what's healthy for us and what's not so healthy, but a lot of us are not doing it. And why is that? So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the mindset behind things today. If, as I'm talking, you've got any questions, anything sort of like sparks your interest or makes you wonder something, just pop a comment. Just pop a comment up and I can see them and I can answer them in real time, hopefully. If you're watching it later, not as a live, again, just ask a question and I will respond to it as quickly as possible. So yeah, interaction is welcome. But otherwise, we're going to crack on. So yeah, I wanted to talk about mindset because I feel like it can be so powerful and it's quite an overlooked aspect of dieting, health, like everything really. I'm not going to get too into detail. I nearly bombarded you with a load of studies to prove how mindset is powerful. That's not really the point of today. If you're like, is she lying to us? Go and do some research. Look on PubMed, search Google. There are loads and loads of studies out there. But mindset can be so powerful. And a shift in mindset sometimes can be the thing that gets us from feeling stuck to getting on track towards our goals. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is focusing on the now. I feel like a lot of people these days are saying like, be present, be mindful, think about what's happening now. And yeah, that is really, really important. But also we want to make sure that we're not focusing on the past or the future because those things can hold us back. If we're focusing too much on past experiences or failures, they can hold us back and prevent us from trying something new and just not really leaving us open for change because you're just focused too much on like what happened before. And maybe you tried a diet before and it didn't really work out. So you're like, well, dieting is not for me, so I'm not going to try anything now. And then you just end up being stuck in the same place. Whereas if you were just focusing on, okay, what can I change right now? Because equally, you could focus on the future too much and think, oh God, I've got all of these things that I want to check off. I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to be able to run a marathon. I want to do, and it just becomes overwhelming. So we just need to focus on what can we do right now? That's the only thing that we can control, and we can't let past experiences hold us back or prevent us from moving forward. So I just think some people are a little bit stuck because they're desperate for change. They're not necessarily willing to change. And we want to just get out of that mindset and just be open to new experiences. And then connected to this really is expectations. So this is the other thing I talk to people a lot about. It's like, okay, what's your goal? I want to drop for 40 pounds. Right, okay, that's a good goal. When do you want to do that? Summer? Okay. Like, it's not necessarily realistic. I think the trouble is that we're bombarded a lot these days with like 30-day transformations, 90-day transformations. We lost 5 stone in a week. And it just already sets us up for failure. Because I'm sure you know people, and I know there are lots of people in this group, and I know lots of other people that have tried these 30, 90, 12-week, whatever, quick fix diets. And yeah, they saw some success. They got somewhere. But a year later, they're in exactly the same place. And I think it's, again, that shift in mindset of having a realistic expectation. If you've got 40 pounds to lose, it's not going to happen in the next 30 days. And actually, let's focus on the bigger picture here. And if maybe we set some realistic expectations now, like if you set those realistic expectations a year ago, think about where you could be now, instead of going through this same cycle. So it is a little bit of looking towards the future, but it's focusing on what can you do now to make that future. That's where I think some of the like confusion comes. It's like, yeah, I want to work towards my goals, but they can just become a little bit overwhelming. So you've just got to break it down and look, what can I do Now, small steps, small little habits, aim low. Just aim low, because that's really achievable, isn't it? If your one habit is to, I don't know, have a 5-minute walk, you could probably do that. If your habit was to run a marathon every week, not so likely to happen. So just being realistic with your expectations. Yeah. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is a big one, this is going to get deep, and this is self-sabotage. And I think most of us, me included, I think most of us are probably guilty of this at some point. So self-sabotage is basically preventing ourselves from reaching our goals. For whatever reason that might be, we are purposefully hindering ourselves and not letting ourselves reach the goals that we've set. Maybe, and I do hear this from people, whether they say it openly and outwardly or whether it's like masked in their messaging, but maybe they just don't feel worthy. They don't feel like they deserve to reach their goals. Maybe you feel like if you self-sabotage, it's a way out, isn't it? Because if you didn't really put the effort in, then nobody can really class you as a failure because you didn't really try. Something to think about. Rather than we have that option of letting ourselves try, put the effort in, be vulnerable, be open, be willing to make mistakes, and then just to try something. It's okay. Like, part of succeeding is failing. Or failing. You know, nothing's a failure because you just learn from it, don't you? If you tried low carb and you felt like absolute trash, okay, well, you put your effort into it, but it just wasn't for you. Cool. Let's try something else. Just be willing and open to making those mistakes and trying something else and not letting yourself get in the way of you. Because that's a real thing that I see a lot with a lot of people. What will others think? If I put lots of effort in and it doesn't work out, are people going to laugh at me? I don't think so. I think people, you know, they value the effort that you put in. I think people applaud triers. So, the other thing that lots of people talk about is having willpower. So, I hear it a lot, like, oh, you've got such good willpower for not eating, I don't know, the cookies at lunchtime, or no, I could never go on a diet because I just don't have the willpower for it. I think that willpower is such a tiny element of a diet. I think there is so much that goes behind the scenes that you can put in place, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, that prevents you from even having to reach the willpower stage. So I think that mindset shift of not even starting something, not even trying because you're like, oh, I don't have the willpower to stick with it, we need to get out of that. And this is how we can do this. So we need to go into this new phase of our life, whatever it's going to be. Maybe it's going on a diet, maybe it's trying a new exercise regime, whatever it might be. We need to go into it knowing that there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be obstacles. It's not going to be smooth sailing. We're not going to just smash every single goal and everything's going to be easy. It's going to be a walk in the park. There are going to be obstacles along the way. Can we address them and identify them before they happen? So it's things like knowing, well, I've got 6 bags of chocolate in the cupboard. Or I know that I've got a birthday dinner coming up. I know that at some point I'm not going to see the progress that I want on the scales. You know, maybe I'm looking for like a £1 a week drop, and one week I put on £3. I know that sometimes I'm not going to be able to get out to the gym and do the workout that I planned. Maybe I have to go through an injury. You know, these are all obstacles that we are going to face when we embark on these new chapters. And we just need to be proactive, identify them first and then address them. What can we do? Okay, so I've got 6 bags of chocolate in the cupboard. Right, let's put those somewhere where they're not going to be distracting to me, that every time I go in the cupboard I see them. Put them somewhere else. If I know that I can't get to the gym, maybe have a home workout planned. If I know that I've got a birthday dinner coming up, Okay, well, plan your meals around the day, in the day around that, or if it's in a restaurant, choose something that like suits your goals. You know, just be aware of these problems in advance and try and solve them. So then you just reduce the need for willpower. And the second part of that is sometimes you are going to have unexpected events. Sometimes somebody's going to bring some cakes into the office and they're going to think that they're doing a lovely thing and you're just like, for God's sake, I was doing so well. So we need to have strategies to address those as well. And I'm going to give you, I've got a whole list of tools to go through at the end. So I'm going to talk through that a little bit more there. But it's having those strategies in advance. Okay, so if something unexpected does come up, I know how to deal with it. And not just thinking, this is going to be dead easy. Okay, so we've talked a lot about ourselves, maybe our perceptions of ourselves, maybe struggles with embarking on new journeys and chapters and phases and things in our lives. And then we have the mindset around food itself. I hear a lot of negative talk around food. So I just want to address some of those things and maybe reframe some of our ideas a little bit. So maybe you view food as good or bad. Maybe it's very clear in your head, this is a good food, this is a bad food. And I just want us to try and step away from that. Because whether you consciously know it or not, if you are labelling food as good or bad, then you are then labelling yourself as good or bad when you eat that food. I'm just going to let you sit with that for a second. And I imagine that lots of you will be thinking that you remember a time when you ate a salad for lunch and you were like, yes, I'm being so good, I'm being so healthy. I am being good. Just listen to that talk. And then I imagine a completely separate time where you had a Ben and Jerry's after dinner and you were like, no, I'm being so bad. I am being bad. So we are labelling ourselves as good or bad for the choices that we make. And how is that helping anybody? If you were to say that, you would never say that. That's the thing, you would never say that to someone else. You would never say, you are a bad person for eating the ice cream. So why do we say it to ourselves? So I just want to step away from that good, bad situation. Food's just a continuum. Some of the food is going to get you closer towards your goals. Some of it's going to serve your body better. And sometimes it's going to serve your mind better because sometimes you just need to have the ice cream. And that's fine. And then attached to this is this food as a reward system that some people have got. Yeah, Kirsty, you're right. It's not food's fault. Food is just food. Look, if we're honest, if we listen to last week's live, it's the manufacturer's fault. But that's another story for another day. We're not going to get into that. Yeah. So, if food is good or bad, then we can use it as a treatment or as a treat or a punishment. And again, we are just reinforcing those ideas that we are good or we are bad. Because if you say to yourself, oh yeah, I went to the gym today, I was good, I deserve ice cream. It's just falling into that labelling behaviour again, which we really don't want to do. Or we don't fall into that trap, but we go the other way and we don't listen to our bodies. And maybe, we go to the gym, and every time we go to the gym, we reward ourselves with a treat. And maybe we really fancy that treat. So even though we've been to the gym 7 times this week already and our body is crying out for a rest, we go because we feel like we don't deserve to have this treat unless we go to the gym, and then we just absolutely ruin ourselves. So it can work both ways. We're just developing unhealthy habits and poor self-talk, which we really just want to step away from. So those are some of the most common issues I see with mindset. And I hope that by listening to some of those, maybe you've sort of gone, oh yeah, that's me. I do that, and realised how that's holding you back. It's not serving you at the minute. It's not helping you. So here are some of the tools that I want to give you, because I don't want to just throw out loads of information to you. I want to give you ways that you can use this practically in your lives, like how can you apply it. So the first tool really is identification. It's identifying any beliefs that are holding you back, any of the things that we've talked about. What do you tell yourself? What is your self-talk like? And then why? Why do you think that way? So first we need to identify it, and then we need to sort of like dig deep on it and figure out, why do I think that? Why is that belief system there? And then from there we can figure out how to change it. We need to swap that belief. If we think we need to go to the gym before we can earn ourselves a treat, we need to change that mindset. We need to catch those negative thoughts as you think them and then reframe them. So for example, if you really, really want a cookie, but your self-talk is, you haven't done anything to deserve this cookie, then you need to reframe that to, food does not determine my worth as a human. Food is not representative of my value. So you need to catch those thoughts, reframe them. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we want to develop some strategies to cope with these unexpected decisions of food that we're going to need to make. Do you know, as a random fact, I've heard a few different numbers, but this is lowballing it. This is the lowest one I've heard, that we make about 200 food decisions a day. I've heard much more than that, but that's the lowest one. That's crazy, isn't it? 200. Imagine 200 little thoughts that you're having to go through every single day. Do I eat this? Do I not eat it? Do I eat this? Do I not eat it? Crazy. So anyway, we want to develop some strategies to cope with those unexpected decisions. It's all well and good having all our food prepped out for the week. We know exactly what we're going to eat, and then someone passes around a birthday cake at the office. What are you going to do? We need to have that planned in advance. So one of the ways that I like to do this, and also coach clients through this, is to just check in with yourself. It's really, really powerful to just pause and just take a second to ask yourself, do I want to eat this because everyone else is eating it and it's the norm? Or do I really want to eat it? And if you really, really want to eat it, fine, go ahead, because food is not good or bad. But if you feel like you have to eat it because everyone else is, we just need to break that stigma, to be honest. And it's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to conform to anyone else's views. And if they ask you why, I just don't fancy it. Just don't want to. That's okay. It's okay. You can say no. Equally, if you do want to eat it, fine. Absolutely fine. You can even take a break between making that decision. Just take like 10 minutes to check in and think, am I actually hungry, or was this like a fleeting phase? And then the last thing that I really, as a strategy, is to, and this is a good one, this is one that you're all going to like, is to incorporate those fun foods into everyday life. Rather than thinking Saturday is a treat day, or, you know, having a binge on a Friday night takeaway. Just incorporate those fun foods into everyday life. So maybe you have a dessert after dinner. I don't know. Maybe you have pancakes for breakfast. Cool. Okay, so just by doing that, we're less likely to view foods as good or bad because they're part of our everyday. We're doing that anyway. We're less likely to binge because, again, it's not like we get this sudden urge to eat all of these foods that we eat normally. Like, nobody ever gets the sudden urge to binge on vegetables if they eat them every day. And we're less likely to view food as good or bad, and therefore less likely to reward or punish ourselves with food. So there's my top tips for shifting your mindset and hopefully getting yourself unstuck. I'd be really interested to hear, actually, if any of you have from this identified any like beliefs that you have around food or yourself and eating and your health. It'd be really interesting to hear that and how maybe you plan to go ahead and reframe that. So yeah, quite a quick one today, but I felt like it was important and it was powerful. Next week, you might have seen, we're going to be looking at like deep health. So there's more to health than just what you weigh. We're going to be looking at a few more of those and the different factors that go into weight control. I did touch on these very briefly when we did the calories talk, but I just want to go into them a little bit more in depth and again give you some tools to help you apply that to your life and get you working towards your goals. So if you feel like any of this or any of that would be helpful, please invite people to the group. I'm more than happy to help as many people as possible. And yeah, let me know if any of this resonated with you or helped you in any way. And if not, I will see you all at 6 p.m. next Wednesday. Bye.